As a productive, successful real estate agent, how can you leverage open houses to create a massive pipeline of opportunities? Well, here's the thing. Open house leads are super bottom of funnel. I want you to think about this for just a second, okay? These people are going to a house without an agent and they're actually touring the home. Oh my gosh. Okay. So our team spends thousands of dollars a month on Zillow. And what I have seen is that open house leads are very bottom of funnel, much like a Zillow lead is. And the best thing, you want to spend thousands of dollars to get it. So how do you do open houses and do them very, very successfully? Well, I'm going to break that down for you in this video. My name is Mike Novak, team leader and agent for the Novak Real Estate team, part of Real Brokerage. And today I want to do a super deep dive into how to do open houses and how to do them successfully. So the first thing to talk about is why are agents unsuccessful with open house? I talk to a lot of agents. I'll ask them, how was your open house? How did it go? And a lot of the times the response is, meh, it was okay. And so then my follow-up question is, of course, well, what did you do to prepare for the open house? What was your strategy? What was your marketing? What was your execution like for this open house? And usually what they tell me is, you know what, Mike, to be totally honest with you, I showed up about 10 minutes before the open house. I put out a sign or two and I called it a day. That's a big fail right there. Okay. So to be successful with open houses, like anything, it requires process, it requires strategy, it requires marketing and time. Okay. So I'm going to break down for you what you should be doing before the open house, like in the days leading up to it. And I'm also going to break down for you what you should do during the open house. And then last, but certainly not least, what do you do after the open house? There's three big reasons that agents don't have great open houses or why this never becomes a great lead source for an agent. The first thing is when they're doing an open house, they choose the wrong location or the wrong price point. Okay. So like when you're doing an open house, your location really does matter. I'm going to share with you in a few minutes what you should be looking for as you're evaluating which homes to do open houses for. But that's the number one reason that I see agents not successful with open houses. The second reason I see agents not successful with it is because they don't know how to promote it properly. They think that just hopping on their personal Facebook page, doing a live from the open house and saying, hey, it's Mike Novak from the Novak Real Estate team. I'm at 123 Main Street today. Come by and say hi. Like if that's your marketing, don't even waste your time with open houses. Okay. That is not marketing. That is completely and utterly half-assed. And the third big reason why they fail with open houses is because they do no follow-up. Like there's just no process for what to do after the open house is done. Like how do you get back in touch with these people? How do you get back in front of them? I'm going to break that down for you today as well. Okay, so choosing an open house. This is very, very important. Is what are you looking for? There's 5 big things I want you to be paying attention to. The first one is it near a main road? You're looking for major arterials that are 1 or 2 turns off of that arterial. Okay, so if it's not off of the main road or not 1 or 2 turns off that arterial, then I would not recommend doing that open house. The second thing, it needs to be super easy to find. If you're doing an open house and there's 25 turns you got to take to go find this open house, or it's out in the middle of the woods somewhere, or it doesn't GPS well, that is not going to be a great open house for you either. So it needs to be super easy to find. It also needs to be in a safe location. So there has been issues with safety of open houses, and you need to be very careful about this. There was a very well-known agent in our market who was actually assaulted at an open house a couple of years ago. And this does happen, unfortunately. So you need to be thinking about safety as you're picking open houses and the locations to do them at. Basically, if you're way out in the woods, you don't have cell reception, there's not likely going to be other people at the open house, that could be a no-go for you, especially if you're thinking about doing open houses on your own. I'll talk about how to partner with the lender later on. But for safety, definitely recommend having 2 people at that open house. If you're going to do it by yourself, which I do not recommend doing, then make sure you're very, very careful about your location. Okay. It also needs to be a price point that's going to pull a lot of different buyers. Okay. So it can't be like super high, like, $3 million listing, unless that's the average price point in your market. Those are fun open houses to do, but they're just not very effective. You're looking for something that's really close to your average price point, and that's going to be an effective draw to the masses and hit kind of a wider demographic. Okay. And then the last thing, number 5, is you need to do an open house on something that is either a new listing or that has recently had a price reduction. I want you to avoid anything that's got kind of that stale listing to it. Anything that's been on the market for like a couple months has had no recent price improvement, things like that. Really, you're just going to waste your time because people are going to be drawn to it. You need to have the new listing draw, or you need to have the price reduction draw, something that's going to pull people to that open house. Okay, so those are really the 5 things that I want you to be thinking about as you evaluate open houses and picking the right one for you. A lot of people will come to me as agents. They'll say, Mike, I don't have any listings, so I can't do open houses. And that is total, utter bullshit. That's just being lazy. If you want to host open houses, pull up your MLS and reach out to other agents in your market and see if you can host their open house for them. A lot of agents that are too busy to do open houses will absolutely let you do that, especially if they know that your execution is going to be solid and make them look great in the eyes of the seller. That means that you're doing a lot of marketing for the open house, you're getting people there, and most importantly, you're giving them feedback at the end of the open house. So pull up your MLS and find the location you're looking for, find the price point you're looking for, reach out to that listing agent, see if they're okay with you hosting that open house. One other thing to mention is just how long should you do an open house for? I see people often doing like 4 or 5 hour open houses, kind of a waste of time. I recommend 2 hours as kind of the sweet spot, like a 1 to 3 p.m. or like 2 to 4 p.m., something like that, 4 to 6 p.m., whatever. But choose just a narrow window and people will compress into that time. A lot of people, when they're figuring out when to go to open houses, they're scheduling them by when that house is actually open. So you are likely going to get a similar amount of traffic in a 2 hour window as you would in a 3 or 4 hour window, but it's going to be much more effective use of your time. Okay, so let's talk about the preparation of the open house. This is going to be stuff that you're going to do before the day of open house. The first thing that I want you to do, I want you to create some kind of flyer or some kind of brochure about the house, some kind of like deliverable that you can drop off and hand to people. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're going to go door drop or door knock the 25 closest homes around you. You don't have to door knock. Like if it's super intimidating you to knock on someone's door and talk to them and invade their privacy and invite them to the open house, that's okay. Don't have to do that, but do drop it on their door, just promoting the open house. But the best thing to do is, of course, actually have those conversations. If you're okay with doing that, knock on the door, introduce yourself. Don't hard sell these people on anything. Just your script should literally be something as simple as, hey, my name is Mike Novak. We just listed 123 Main Street, your neighbor over there about 4 doors down. I wanted to reach out to you and invite you to our open house. It's tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have snacks over there. A lot of neighbors are really curious about what their neighbor's home looks like. And so I just want to invite you to come over, check it out, and see how it might compare to yours. And by the way, do you have any idea or any friends that could be possibly thinking about moving to this area that might be interested in that house that I should reach out to? Okay, so that's just your script, like super non-aggressive, not super salesy, just sharing the open house with them, asking if they know anyone that's interested in possibly moving to that neighborhood that you can reach out to. Do those 2 things, you're going to be good to go. I hear people talking about door knocking 100, 200 doors. I don't think that that's super, it's not scalable. Like you're not going to consistently do that. So let's set just a goal that's reasonable, that makes sense, and that I know you can achieve. And to me, that's about 25 doors. I know you can do that at all of your open houses. It's not a massive time commitment. It's an hour or two. If you're going to do the open house on a Saturday, you probably do your door knocking on a Thursday or a Friday, probably Friday. So that's the first thing. You got to door drop or door knock the 25 closest houses. The next thing you should do is promote it on social media. We use GGMS for this. It's a marketing company. They run an open house promotion for us. Ylobo can do this as well. You can do it yourself, of course. Just go into Facebook and create an open house ad. But you really want to run like a 3 to 5 mile radius ad promoting your open house, making sure people know when it is, why they should come to it, what's cool about this house. And again, just listed or just price reduced is kind of your draw when you're thinking about writing your ad copy. Okay. The third thing you need to do, you need to identify your signage plan. So I'll go into Google Maps, I will type in the address of the house, and then I will kind of screenshot that and I'll put X's on where my signs are all going to go. I really want you to think about 25 plus signs when you're doing an open house. You don't have to do the A-board signs. I like A-board signs when it gets closer to the actual home itself, but for just promoting that open house, get just those 2-leg kind of H stands that go on the ground. They're the aluminum ones. Super easy and cheap. Aim for at least 25 of them. And I encourage you to try to put them in kind of irregular patterns. Like don't just put one and then a quarter mile later, do another one. Do like 3 in a row that are like 10 feet apart. Things that are going to grab people's attention. Okay. So come up with your signage plan before the day of the open house. Make sure you've sourced your signage, you have it ready to go, and you know approximately how much time it's going to take for you to properly sign this location. This is really, really important, getting drive-by traffic to your open house and maximize the amount of visitors that you get. The next one, get your lender on board to do the open house with you. I talked about safety earlier on, and open houses are best done in pairs. And it's kind of weird to do an open house with another agent. Like, how do you share these leads that come through? It's cleaner if you just partner with a lender. So our lender does open houses with us all the time. The lender is there in person. Typically, they're kind of the greeter of the open house. Like, they're in the doorway, just kind of shaking hands, introducing themselves to people. And then you're kind of like the guide of the house, sitting back there having deeper conversations that are sharing where people are at in the process. I'll talk about scripts here in just a little bit when we come down to the day of the open house. But partner with your lender and ask them to be at the open house with you. Could be a very good opportunity for them as well. Okay. The last one, print off comparable sales, homes that are similar size and price point that are still active, that are within a mile or two radius, like kind of that same neighborhood of the home you're doing the open house in, and have those printed off in color and ready to show off to people. And the reason you want to do that is because if this home isn't the right fit for them, which most of the time it's not going to be, let's be honest, then here's 3 other options I could take you to right after the open house to see if these ones could be a good fit for you. So have those ready to go, have them printed in color and ready to show off. These are all things you should be doing in preparation of your open house. This takes time to do it correctly. Okay, that brings us to the day of the open house. You've done all your preparation. You went through that whole checklist of things that I went over. Now we're down to the day of the open house. The first thing, start early. You do not want to be that agent that peels into the house right as it's supposed to be starting and setting up your sign. That is complete BS as an agent. That means you haven't prepared right, you haven't scheduled yourself correctly, and you're just half-assing it. Okay, I'm just going to call it what it is. You should be there an hour early, and you should take that time to properly set up the open house. The first thing you need to do, pull out your signage map that you created in your preparation phase and go put out all of your signs. This could take you half an hour on its own. And I talked about earlier in the video, put your signs in regular configurations. Don't just put one and then a quarter mile later another one. Do like groups of 3 or groups of 5, especially at big intersections, things like that. Then take 2 or 3 A-board signs and put those directly pointing into the house, okay? We even have our lender partner put out these huge flags that you can see from 100 yards away and really draw your eye. And then I like to put balloons on the A-frame signs as well. It's kind of old school, but it just looks like active and fun. And so people are drawn to balloons. I still think it's worth doing 100% of the time. Okay, so get your signage out, get your A-boards coming in, get your iPad sign-in process dialed in as well. If you want to be old school and have people sign in with just a piece of paper, that's cool too. But you need to have that process figured out. On our team, we use iPads. We use CR Interactive as our CRM, and we can basically create like a little sign-in page unique to that open house. Okay, so basically that iPad sits in a stand. The lender is the greeter to the open house, and they just ask the person to sign in and say, hey, welcome to our open house. Our seller has requested that everyone that comes through the home does register. Please go ahead and put your contact information in right there, and then feel free to go tour around the house. Okay, so that's kind of like your lender script, but you want to make sure you've got that iPad ready to go. The other thing, remember those color flyers I told you about? Make sure you've got those on the home that you're actually at, like a brochure, some kind of infographic, some kind of feature sheet, things like that about the home that you're hosting the house for, but also have those other 3 comparables that you're wanting to promote as well. Just in case this isn't the right home for those people, here's 3 other options I'm going to take you to at the end of the open house if you'd like to see those as well. People are looking for ease, right? Like, how can I easily go see more houses that are similar to this? Make it easy on them. Hey, you don't have to schedule another time. Just right when this open house is over, here's the 3 houses I can go show you. Which of these is attractive to you? Okay, so these are all things you should be doing leading right up to the open house itself. Okay, that brings us to the actual open house itself. It's game time, right? So first of all, just be yourself. Like, don't feel like you got to dress different than you normally dress. Of course, you should be professional. You don't have to wear a suit or anything like that. Just be yourself, be relaxed, and just be comfortable in your own skin. That's the most important thing that I can tell you. But position your lender as the greeter. I kind of addressed that already in kind of the script to have them use when people come in. I do want to clarify for you that the goal of the open house is not to get hundreds of people through it. It's to make very genuine, authentic connections, okay? If you get 25 groups to your open house, the odds are very low you're going to have the time to connect with people at a very deep level that will allow you to actually build a relationship with them. You have to build a relationship with them if you're going to represent them as an agent down the road, okay? So the ideal amount of people to come through is like 5 to 8 groups in a 2-hour span. That allows you to have really nice, long conversations with people. But when agents are bragging about having like 25 groups at the open house, I'm always curious, like how many genuine, authentic conversations did you have that you think are actually going to lead to a relationship coming out of that? Because that's ultimately the goal, right? We all know that open houses, it looks great for the sellers, but very infrequently does it actually sell the house. It does some of the time, but it's not a massive amount. Okay. So position your lender as the greeter. You are the guide of the home. You're sitting back. You're having great conversations. You're not salesy. You're not pushy. You're just introducing yourself. And you can just ask very simple questions. Hey, welcome to our open house. Did you find us online or did you just come off of the site? Simple question like that. Just ask them, was it this one or was it this one? Kind of the A or B. And they'll often say, I saw it online and I just want to stop by and see the house. Okay, awesome. So here's a few questions you can ask. What had you interested in this home? Just ask that question and then listen very closely. Usually there's going to be multiple follow-up questions that come out of just that first question you ask them. Have you been looking at other homes? Very important. And the way they answer this question will often tell you if they actually have a real estate agent or not. When somebody tells me, no, I haven't been looking at other homes, this is really just the first step in the process of taking, that's awesome. When they tell me they've been out looking at other houses, then I want to ask follow-up questions. I want to ask them, awesome, okay, have you been to one open houses or has an agent been showing you different homes? And that could tell you the person possibly has an agent that could be hands off for you. But you have to ask these questions to really know the true answer. And you don't want to trigger a defensive mechanism in that person's visiting your open house, which means you're just asking nice, gentle, soft, open-ended questions that kind of asks them what they've been doing so far, okay? What have you been doing to prepare yourself as a buyer is a really important question. And again, that could be touring homes, that could be getting pre-approved. Just ask that question and see what the response is that you get from them. That leads me to my next question. Have you gotten pre-approved yet? No worries if you have not, just if you have, that's really awesome. Tell me about which lender you're working with, which loan program you're using, what's kind of the budget you have in mind, how close is this home to that budget, things like that, okay? And has anyone invested the time to sit down with you as a buyer and walk you through the home buying process from start to finish in our current market? That's your close right there. And this is a very soft close, but it's a very important question to ask. Most often, agents have not invested that time with the buyer to sit down and walk them through the process of buying a home if they're at your open house. Because if they had, they'd be at a private showing with that agent. Okay, so ask that question, and then that could be your layup to go ahead and schedule a buyer consultation at your office, maybe the next day, maybe later that afternoon, or maybe on Monday, something like that. Okay. And then just make sure that they know about the other listings you brought to. So, hey, I don't know if you're interested mostly in this home, but I just want to let you know there's 3 other homes that are very similar size and price point, similar price point as well, that are close in proximity to this home. Here's those 3 houses. Do any of these interest you? Or would you like to see any of them later this afternoon once it's open houses? Or I'd be happy to show those to you. Okay. So that's really all you got to do with the open house. Don't try to hard close people. Don't try to be that salesy guy at open houses. Just ask great questions. Be energetic. Please don't be sitting on your laptop trying to multitask. Be on your feet. Be full of enthusiasm and excitement and be present in the moment to talk to people and engage with them. That is going to totally attract them to you as possibly their agent. Okay, so that's what you got to focus on at the actual open. Let's talk about the follow-up. Okay, so that brings me to the follow-up. After the open house is done, you've executed a perfect open house, you've made some great connections. First thing you want to do, go to your CRM before the open house is even shut down and review everyone that registered. Who are these people? They should click in your brain. Okay, this was Joe. I had a conversation with Joe about this house. He's got to sell a home. Put in detailed notes of your conversation in CRM right then and there. This cannot wait until later. You need to do this right away. Anyone that you made a great connection with or that showed interest in possibly seeing more homes later that you didn't schedule an appointment with, go ahead and call them right at the end of the open house. And your script could be very basic. It could just say, hey, Joe, it's Mike Novak from the Novak Real Estate Team. Thanks so much for coming by my open house today. I really enjoyed speaking with you and your wife about the possibility of buying a new home, what you guys are looking for. The next step in the process would be to sit down with you for 25 to 30 minutes at my office and really walk you through the home buying journey. Are you available today at 6 o'clock or would Monday at 4 o'clock be better for you to go sit down and have that conversation? That's all you got to do, okay? But make that call the day of when you're still fresh in their mind of who you are, okay? If you do that, you're going to convert way, way better than if you wait for Monday morning. But go ahead and go through and call anyone you had a great conversation with. People you didn't have a great conversation with, they just registered, they kind of got in and got out. You can wait till Monday to call. But people you had a great conversation with, go ahead and get on the phone with them right away. Try to schedule that buyer consultation. So the last thing you want to do, Monday morning, make sure you've carved out some time and call everyone that came to the open house. Very, very important. Of course, you need to provide feedback to your seller as well, whether it's your listing or somebody else's listing as well. But you want to make sure that they get timely feedback on the listing and that you've followed up with everyone that came to the open house. Those are Monday morning tasks to do that you need to make sure get done. If you've reviewed your leads from the open house right after the open, that should make the Monday morning tasks much more simple, and hopefully you booked an appointment or two right off of that. So my challenge for you is take the checklist I've built for this. We'll make it accessible for you where you can download it, or you can reach out to me and I'll send you a copy of it. But start implementing this. And I challenge you to do 4 open houses a month for the next 3 months straight. Okay. So that's 12 open houses. Follow this to the letter. And I guarantee you, you will add buyers to your pipeline. There is no doubt in my mind you will. This is proven to work. It's a system, it's a process, but like anything, it just has to be executed, okay? It's not complicated. It's very simple, but it's not easy. It's Mike Novak from the Novak Real Estate Team, part of Real Brokerage. If you've got questions about this, got questions about anything in real estate, anything I can help you with as a real estate agent, peer-to-peer, will reach out.